Hey there, TNA fam. We're back here at the impzonepod podcast to talk more TNA wrestling today. Of course, we're here to talk more Genesis previews, but problem is, well, much like last week, there really isn't much to talk about. Probably this one might be pretty short, but I just want to go through and reiterate, I guess, the main points. So I guess if you guys are kind of used to this kind of thing or what have you, have seen the progression of what's going on and whatnot on TV or even on social media or whatnot, or in spoilers or whatever else it is. Of course, I could look up the spoilers and whatnot. I feel like I know one of them certainly for next week, which is in next year. Now, I don't know whether that there is stuff taped up to the next week after that, but the week that's after that, aka in 3 weeks' time from now, which is 2 weeks away from next year's first episode, will be the AMC debut. Um, so yeah, we're all. I really want to talk about that as well. There really hasn't been a whole lot of like teasing of anything yet for that show either. Like, so that's not really good. Like, this is the sort of thing that you really need to be doing now. And again, same thing with Genesis. You need to be saying, hey, here's all the stuff that you're going to see at Genesis, okay? Like, this is what you're going to see, right? So that people can go, okay, even if it's like not everything, at least like people know like a handful more of the matches that are going down. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. We know what to expect, or we know what feuds are kind of going into this show rather than we're just seeing random matches, and what do they mean? We don't know. You know, like, that's what I mean. When you announce things and you have something like that people can see, okay, this is where we're going, then people are interested. Like, it's just the thing. People don't understand what you're doing until they can see what you're doing. You know what I mean? So if you advertise what you're doing, then it's like, oh, okay, so this is what we're working towards, type thing. Okay, cool. So now I'm interested. Especially 3 or 4 weeks out. Like, you need to have these things set up already. Like, you already need these things, advertised. Whatever you're gonna do. Same for the AMC, and they just haven't done it. They just have not done anything for this show except for like 2 matches. So what's happening with the tag team division? What's happening with the Knockouts tag team division? What's happening with the Knockouts title? What's happening with the X Division title? And like, I honestly don't think, like, and what's happening with the international title? I assume Steve Maclin's going to have a rematch, but we don't know. Um, so, again, like, just announce it. Just announce that this is what's happening, or that's what's happening, or whatever. Like, that's what I mean. Or at least tease something. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't just be like, oh, well, it'll happen on the night or whatever. That's cool and that's great if something happens on the night, but you've got to tease at least some things for that night, especially as I said, the AMC debut. It's like, what? Now, I kind of said a moment ago, and I said this might be a short one, but I haven't looked up the results of the upcoming shows. And I think I asked before, and I didn't really get much response on the messages that I put out there a while ago about the show and whatnot. So instead, just for me, just because I need to know, let's have a look. TNA TV tapings result. Let's see if I can find them. I don't know whether I can't remember what arena that they were in last. I can't remember. It wouldn't be on there, would it? It would be where they were for the last show, wasn't it? God. I don't know. Where were they? Where am I? Brain. Let's see if I can find it. I don't know. Well, where were we? Final resolution. Let's see. I should have put 25 there, shouldn't I? But whatever. El Paso. Okay, let's see if I can find it now. I think that's where they had their tapings. I'm assuming that's where they had their tapings. I don't think that they had any other tapings, did they? I don't think so. Well, let's see. Whoa. Wait. Is this for... Oh, no, this is for this year. I'm thinking... Jesus, what am I thinking? Doesn't really say here what... Like, specifics. Doesn't say enough specifics. Let's see. Let's see if I can find... That one source didn't have enough information, so let's see if I can find... This isn't right. No, this isn't right. That's not right. Let's write... Yeah, this is saying in July. Let's say December. Let's see if I can find it here. Alright, let's see. Is this it? Alright. Okay. Let's see. Yep. See that. Okay. Yep, we've seen this, which is all about Santana coming out to interrupt Kazarian. Lexus Kin beating Matt Cardona. Six-way match for the X Division title. Seen that. Mara super kicking Ryan. JDC versus Eddie. Dog collar match. We've seen that. The Royal Rumble. Seen Tessa versus the Angel Warriors versus Tasha and Mila. Seen the steel cage match. Okay. We've seen the announcement. This is not the right one. Where is it? Oh. Whoa. This might be it. I don't know. This could be it. Alright. So I think that was night one. Let's see if I can read through this. Sinner and Saint, AJ Francis. Okay, so I feel like these are spoilers now. So guys, if you don't want to be spoiled, I think I've found the spoilers. All right. So now we're going to have a read through this. So like there's some stuff for Explosion, but I don't really think it matters all too much. So I won't really go through that. So AJ Francis held a first-class penthouse, which was interrupted by Rich Swann. So obviously, you're gonna do something between Francis and Swann. I don't know whether it's announced here, but I'll keep reading through and I'll assume that it is announced. I think I did think about this before. I don't know whether we discussed it before, but this is something that I can see that Francis wins. The main reason I think that Francis will win, not just because of the size difference or whatever else it is or whatnot, is to say that they're trying now, I feel like, to finally build him into a main event level player. Like, he's great on promo. He's fairly decent in the ring, especially for a big guy. So I feel like now they're like looking at him more as a main event level guy to push him into that place. Getting like, it's more to say, not to say that he beat Swann so much. It's more to say that he beat a former world champion. And it's the same thing with Leon. That's another thing that they've kind of done that to build him up even more. He's beat a former world champion. You know, that's the whole idea of saying he's on his rise, really. So, but yeah. We'll keep reading through. We'll wait and see if it actually gets announced along here somewhere. Elegance Brands defeat the Angel Warriors. During the match, Danny Luna came out and attacked Lee. I said before, like, if you're going to go down the route of Zaya versus Danny, that sucks for Danny unless you're going to actually put the belt on her. And I don't feel like you're going to put the belt on her because Lay has just won the friggin' thing. So I will be like kind of mad if they have Danny just go in there and lose. Like, I will be mad in some ways if Danny goes in there and wins as well, because I am so fucking sick of this title being a hot potato that we just switch around from person to person to person every few weeks. That is not how you have a story. Like, you actually have to have, you know, a person holding the belt and somebody chasing them. You know, if you have Danny win this belt, in some ways, that'll be good because, like, that if she can then hold it for 6 months and you're no longer playing hot potato, then it'll be good. But if you're gonna play hot potato, then don't even do it. And I don't really want to see it yet, realistically. So I kind of, again, don't know whether that's going to be announced or not or what, but we'll wait and see. So NXT liaison Ariana Grace came out with the NXT Invaders, explained the reason why she betrayed Santino. Grace stated that she wanted to carve out her own name, didn't want to be stuck in her father's shadow. Okay, like I said with this, there's nothing between like Ariana and Santino. So anything that comes of this will have to be, you know, Stacks versus Santino. And I said before, I feel like if you're going to build to a match between Santino and Stacks, it has to be like Rebellion or whatever, not Genesis. So, like, I'm assuming that, as I said, probably Macklin's getting a rematch or whatever. So we'll wait and see. 3-way match, Byron Reed defeated Zachary Wentz and Trey Miguel. Prior to the match, the X Division champion Leon Slater came out to announce table as the commentator. What? Is this from like a few months ago? What the heck? I really don't know what's going on there. Why this is here? Maybe it is. I don't know. This is weird. This doesn't sound right, but sure, whatever. Like, what again? Like, it's like if you're building Myron to face Leon again, that's even just as stupid, because like have Wentz or Trey win, you know, because we've already seen like you know who Myron and Leon, so it's like, why do this? Okay, I don't know. The Righteous, Dutch Adventures came out to the ring. The Hardys came out afterwards and issued a challenge to the Righteous. Vincent responded saying they don't want to fight. He wants to help the Hardys. So, obviously, you're kind of painting something between these two. I said this before. Like, I feel like before the Righteous face the Hardys or do anything against the Hardys, they have to have at least a match. They haven't even had a match, for God's sakes. So there's, like, even if they're tagging with the Hardys, I don't care. That's fine. But let them have a friggin' match first. They haven't even had a match. For God's sakes, they need to have a match. Like, they need to, like, if they're going to be a contender to those titles, then they need to win a match. And a tag team match. Not just, random stuff that happens. It's not written here anywhere, so I don't know what's happening with that, but still. Or at least I haven't read through it yet, but we'll wait and see. But still, like, that's what I mean. Like, are you really going to announce that these guys are facing each other? Why? What for? Like, why am I, like, yeah, sure, they're going to face each other eventually, but, like, why would they face each other now? Like, the Righteous have just debuted. They haven't even had a match! They haven't even had a match! And you're gonna put them in there against the Hardys. What? What? What are you doing? That's what I mean. Anyway, 6 knockouts tag team match next. Tessa Blanchard, Victoria Crawford, and Mila Moore defeated Jody Threat, Indy Hartwell, and Jada Stone. I believe that's next week. The System came out and hyped up JDC's last match with the group. So this is obviously building for the match between Eddie and JDC. I kind of feel like, one thing that hopefully either in this promo or at the end will be said is that if Dango loses, that he wants Eddie to go for the title for him, So that's something that I hope we get to see. Okay. Next is the world title match between Frankie Kazarian and Bear Bronson. Obviously, Frankie Kazarian wins. Following the match, Santana came out to announce that his TNA title will be no longer taking place and instead will be taking place on Impact's premiere on AMC. Okay. What? Why are you I get why you're hyping up AMC. But why take away this thing from Genesis? What are you going to do at Genesis then? You know what I mean? Maybe you've got somebody or something planned, but you already had this build to Santana and Kazarian in the books. So, like, this stubs you in the foot of what you were doing for the last month, and this has been basically the only other match besides JDC versus Eddie that's been announced for that match. And yes, I get some people will be like, oh, that's hype to see this match on the AMC debut, but you're taking it away from Genesis. You need another match at Genesis then. Like, and maybe you could have something big and bad for Genesis, but, like, I don't know. I just don't see what you're going to do with that. But whatever. Turn-person tag team match. I think we've actually seen this one. Yeah, this was the Christmas special episode part, which just happened. So again, the Hardys came out and talked the Righteous, which this led to the Righteous showing up, and have the Hardy family on the wall with candles underneath them. The Righteous stated they don't want to fight right now. Okay, so again, you're continuing to go along with this. They have not even had a match. What are you doing? Okay, so it was announced that the Righteous versus the Hardys is official for Genesis. Okay, cool, great. They have not, folks, even had a match. What is this? Like, I get the story that you're telling. That's great. That's fine. Please have given them a match against anyone along this road so that they could what? Win and look legitimate. Yes, if they beat the Hardys or whatever, they will look legitimate, but still they need to look legitimate before they beat the Hardys. They can't just beat them and then go on from there. They need to look like they can beat them and then beat them and go on from there. If that's what they're going to do. Like, or are they not going to beat them? I don't know what you're doing with this. Like, that's what I mean. Where are you going with this? Whatever. At least there's another bloody match that we can talk about. I've said that throughout this, like, this is probably a match that they're going to do. Danny Luna defeats Harley Hudson. Following the match, Luna attacked Hudson, leading to Laying Lee returning to try to save Hudson. To no avail, Myla, Grace, and Zaya Brookside also ran down for an attempted save, only for them to also be laid out by Luna. Luna stood tall, held up the Knockouts world title. That is crazy. Okay, that's kind of fire. But again, like, I feel bad. I feel bad for what they've done with this title. They need to cement this title on someone. If they're gonna do it, alright, fucking put it on Danny and cement her for 6 months, 8 months, a year, whatever the fuck it is. I don't care. Stop hot potatoing this title, for fuck's sake. Stop hot potatoing all your titles. They need to be on someone for more than a week or two or whatever. I know people have ADHD problems. I have ADHD problems nowadays, but, like, for fuck's sake, people can pay attention for more than a few weeks, you know, for God's sakes. And I understand, like, some of the criticism was, oh, they didn't pull the trigger on this person quickly enough, or they didn't do this quickly enough, or they didn't do that quickly enough, or they didn't do it at the right time, or whatever it was, blah, blah, blah. Yes, in some ways, but again, like, you still can't have people just dropping belts every other week or every few weeks or whatever it is. Anyway, next, Order 4, Tasha Steelz, etc. Come out to the ring. Ali trashed Elijah. I thought that they were going to build to Elijah, so we'll see where this is coming. Coming out on a horse, running away. Elijah chased Ali on the horse. So we're still building that. International Championship. Steve Macklin defeated Stacks via disqualification. Near the end of the match, Ariana Grace interfered and raked Macklin's eyes, resulting in the referee calling for the bell. Following the match, Stacks and the NXT group attacked Macklin, leading to Matt Cardona running in to make the save. Okay, so again, feels like you're getting that rematch at some point. It hasn't been announced here, or maybe it's in the notes down here somewhere a little bit further. Santana and World Championship, Frankie Kazarian come out of their title match signing. Santino Marella stated that regardless of whoever wins, the title must defend at Genesis. 2 days later, this led to Nick Nemeth coming out and cashed in his Call Your Shot trophy for a match. Okay. So that means that whoever's winning is facing Nick Nemeth at Genesis, ? I'm assuming. That's what I'm reading into this. The Hardys, Matt and Jeff, Cedric Alexander, and Leon Slater defeated the System. Okay. I don't think that's anything. That's just a, like, big time match that's probably not really going in anything. You could say the System is scouting or whatever. Like, maybe Cedric and maybe Leon. I don't know. I don't think that this is all the tapings from those those nights. Okay, I don't think that this has the results I want. Let's see if I can find further results. Blah, blah, blah. This is everything we've just read. Everything we just read. Da, 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 da. By Bronson. Yada, yada. Da, da, da. Harley Hudson. Da, 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 da. Contract signing. Okay, nothing there. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Da, da, da. Wait, maybe this is it. No, this is, no, that's before this. Let's see if I can actually find it here. Maybe I can find it. Who knows? No, that's not it. I don't think this is it either, honestly. I know that they've taped it. I believe it's the third night. No. There must have been a second set of tapings on that night. Maybe some of this is actually going to be on the other show. Okay, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. This doesn't seem like what I'm looking for. No. I can't really find exactly what I'm looking for. So we only know one or two things thus far, and I thought that they would have already covered this somewhere, but I can't find it. Maybe it is out there, but I just cannot find it. So, yeah. But we now know at least somewhat know, like, some of the things that we're doing. Like I said before, like, they haven't announced anything between Danny and Lee thus far, and even looking through those spoilers, it hasn't been technically announced. Maybe they'll announce it on Thursday, or maybe they'll have it on the AMC debut. I don't know. Like, would it be better for them? I think, like, let's talk about this, because I feel like basically every time that you have somebody win the belt, that the next week's pay-per-view is always so much worse, because you've always got that rematch. And everyone's always like, well, they aren't winning it back. Because why would you take it off somebody to then bounce it back onto them, unless you're just like stat padding or whatever, what have you? You're not doing that. You're trying to say, this is the direction we're going in with this person. So either it's going to say on Laying, or it's going to go to Danny. So if you were to have this match on the AMC debut, then Danny wins it. Then you could have the rematch at Genesis. Maybe. I don't know. Like the Genesis show is already kind of where it's gonna be at a certain point. So, like, I feel like Yeah, especially with the lack of promotion that they've kind of been doing for it. And this is what I mean. You need to have these things announced so people can go, oh my God, we're going to see this, and this, or whatever. Or some variation of this, at least. Like, even if you were going to say, okay, Danny is going to be the champion going in, except, and she's going to face Laying on the live episode. Okay, that's fine. It's still the same match for the same belt, So at least the fans will understand, okay, this is the direction we're going in. This is what I'm, spending my money for my ticket on, or whatever, or my view on pay-per-view, or whatever else it is. That's what I'm paying to see. That's why people buy tickets, because they know what they're gonna see. And even if you're saying, okay, we did this match earlier or whatever than what we planned it, then you're saying, okay, cool, great. Let's get to this thing or that thing or the other thing. Okay? I don't know. I feel like now I will go back to the situation with Santana, Nemeth, and whatnot, and Kazarian. So, if Nemeth is calling his shot at Genesis, would it be better for him to... It would be better for him to face Santana, right? Obviously. There's no way that you can build something up from the live episode to the AMC, from the AMC debut episode to Genesis within 2 days. You know what I mean? So that, that's just whatever, I think, in a way. Let me think. Right, so I'm trying to get my booking cap on here and think about how you could work this out and how it would make sense. You could have a triple threat, and I might say, I don't know, because that's... it's tough, isn't it? Man. Oh, my God. Because if you put the belt on Santana... I said before, you shouldn't put the belt on Santana yet. If you're gonna put this as a triple threat, and Santana has won the belt back and on the AMC, I don't know, you feel like he should lose it again? I really don't like that. That's really bad. In some, just in the hot potato title sense. It could be really good, but it's again, I feel like people are just we don't want Kazarian. They're over it. They're this should have happened 2 or 3 years ago, or whatever it was. Or it should have happened as quickly as possible, got it out of the way, and we should have already moved on by now. That sort of thing. I think there are a lot of fans that are happy for Kazarian, but I think they're just the way it's been booked and the way it's been put together and everything that formulated around him trying to win that title and whatnot, I think was dumb. Because he'd already waited, 20 odd years, whatever it was, to get this belt. He needed that belt already, in theory. He needed and wanted this belt. He should have said, I want that belt now, and gone down to that ring and challenged for the belt in the main event. Or after the main event. you know, so that he's lost his opportunity, yada yada, whatever it was, situations, shenanigans. Because either that or he should have just won it there and then, and that would have helped, I think, because that was when Joe Hendry was first facing Nick Nemeth for the title, right? I believe. So that would have helped that match out, I think, because I think people wanted so much to see Joe win the title, but it wasn't really a complete thing and wasn't put together well, I think. So I feel like if you had and it didn't make any sense for, you kind of could have made sense back then because Nick Nemeth was a babyface back then. So why didn't Kaz cash in on him? You know what I mean? Type thing. You could have had that during his run after Joe Hendry had beaten him or whatever. Or before Joe Hendry had beaten him at Genesis. So instead of doing that, you could have put the title in Kazarian and then said, okay, well, Joe came so close, he was so close, but he didn't factor in the fact that Kazarian had won the Call Your Shot earlier in the night. And then you go from there and say, okay, cool, great. Now we're going to have this thing for Joe to go up against Kazarian, and what is Nick Nemeth going to do? Well, he's got to get his title back, so he's got to have a rematch, but eventually you're going to get back to Joe at Genesis. So that works him out better because now it's a different direction, a different angle, an actual heel that he's actually going up against rather than the babyface. It makes more sense, even if it's only going to be a little bit, it's still going to be pretty short or whatever, but still it's going to be miles better. Just based on the characters and based on the story. I think people would be much, they're not going to be happy with it, but they'd be much more happy that Kazarian beat Nemeth or beat Hendry by shenanigans than John Bradshaw Layfield interferes. Even if JBL interfered, maybe then Kaz comes out. Then maybe you're thinking, oh, well, maybe Kaz and JBL have a thing going on here. Why didn't Kaz come in then? Makes no sense. He was chomping at the bit. He should have been chomping at the bit to get this belt. After 20 long years of not having had this belt. That's what he should have done. He should have tried everything in his power as quickly as possible to get that belt. Rather than just sitting around going, yeah, I have this thing, but I'm not going to do anything about it for months and months and months and months. And then I'm finally going to say, oh yes, out of nowhere, I'm going to cash this in when I'm in my hometown. And that makes sense to cash it in your hometown, but you should have already been saying, hey, or you should be teasing it more, saying, oh, I might do it now. I might do it now. Or whatever, instead of just, sometimes you see him, sometimes you don't. Whatever. And sometimes teasing it, but not enough. Not at the end of a match or whatever, never then. I don't know. So, but yeah, that's one way to have done it. There's 1,000 ways to skin a chicken or skin a cat or whatever, the saying is or whatever. But, yeah. So then you, same thing here. Instead of Kaz winning it from Santana, same thing. Nick Nemeth wins it from Santana. Okay? He's already held it. Shenanigans, whatever. But people remember what he did, all those years ago. Same sort of thing, night after WrestleMania, whatever. Try to recreate that. Have him win the belt. then have, this same thing, basically, with Santana chasing for that rematch Genesis. And then say, oh, by the way, now it's on the AMC debut. Don't do that. Just say that it's going to be on the AMC debut from the get-go. If that's going to be the plan, just do that. And say, okay, we don't know what's going to happen at Genesis, but let's say, who was it that he beat? Trick. He couldn't fucking do it there. There's no way Trick's coming back. Say, okay, some way else. Yeah, say the same thing with the battle royal, that somebody won the battle royal and that's the person that whoever's winning the match between Nemeth and Santana on the AMC debut is going to face a Genesis. Bam, there you go. Simple. Rather than you're trying to tell this story over here with this person. Yes, you are telling another story, but it's like, it's not getting in the way. It's later. So you've got that looming threat. You're building somebody else up. It doesn't make sense for it to be almost anyone else but like somebody that's a proper main event level person like Moose. Or somebody like that. You can't just put somebody in there. On TV, it's a bit different for somebody like Bear Bronson or something like that. That's different. Not saying, hey, let's put him on pay-per-view because, again, you haven't built him up. Same thing with the Righteous. Maybe there's a big story there and people are intrigued and whatever. But, again, people have no investment in them because they barely know who they are and they haven't seen them win any matches. Probably because... why? They haven't had any. So that's what I mean. They need to have at least had a match with some jobbers or whatever on Explosion or something. So that people can be like, okay, they've had a match and they've won their match. Okay. But for them to be like taken more seriously, they need to have a big time match. And maybe they should have had a match against the system. That would have done something for them. That would have built them up to be, if they had to beat the system, instead of just like you have this random match against the Rascals and whatnot again, or whatever it was. It's like, and Cedric or whatever it was. It's like, what? Wait, what? What does that do for anyone or anything? What? So yeah. But that's a big time match for the AMC debut, absolutely, between Santana and Kazarian. Absolutely. So I can't disagree with that. But again, when you're taking that away from Genesis, it's like, okay, great. And then whoever wins is going to face Nick Nemeth. I feel like you've got to make it a triple threat. So... I feel like the only real way you can make it a triple threat is if Santana wins, because otherwise it would be between Nick Nemeth and between Kazarian. Because if Kazarian is going to retain, then it's like, well, why would Santana be involved? You know what I mean? Yeah. You know what I mean? But if Santana wins, at least like you might be saying, well, we're also going to give Kaz his rematch at the same time. It's going to be a triple threat. Maybe, but I don't know. It's really tough because, again, like you might be saying, well, instead of having a triple threat, we might have him rematch at Rebellion or something. I don't know. I don't know whether that feels good enough, because it's like, by that, like, maybe it could be if you do it right or whatever else, but I don't know. Like, I feel like at a certain point you want to move, well, as quickly as possible, I would say. You want to move on from the Kazarian sort of stuff with Santana. You want to give him new opponents to face and and whatnot, and new people in that main event scene. So, I feel like that's what you sort of need to be doing. You need to be building as many of the other heels up as possible if you're going to put the belt on Santana. If you're not going to put the belt on Santana long term, then okay, let's go ahead and, keep the belt on Kazarian long term and build up a whole bunch of baby faces for him to face instead, and have Santana be the main one who's going after him, and finally he gets back to him in a few months' time or whatever it is. Again, if you're going to have a match between Nick Nemeth and Kazarian, two heels, I don't feel like that works at Genesis. I feel like that's a slap in the face to the fans. Do not slap your fans in the face. I've actually just recorded an episode today, or the other day actually, I think, about like why TNA needs to keep like the fans happy and whatnot. So I go into a lot more details, and basically I do say the same thing a fair bit, but whatever. Like they're reliant on the fans. We've been loyal to them for 20 plus years, a lot of us, in many ways. And they've had like so many opportunities. And yes, some of those opportunities have, been good or whatever else it is, like eventually. But I do feel like they don't and perhaps it is the problem of the modern era and the modern audience or whatever. You do need to move things more quickly and culminate things in the right way. Not just saying, we're going to do this because that's what we were going to do. You need to satisfy the fans at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Because they are your paying customer, realistically. You could be saying, oh yes, we're a slave to the big wigs and to the and whatnot, but realistically, like that's just what WWE is doing now, and that might make you profitable, or whatever, but like long term, it is unsustainable, because just because you exist doesn't mean that people will follow what you're doing. You actually have to have something for people to be invested in. Why am I investing if you don't care about, me investing in these characters? Why would I invest then in these characters or these moments or whatever else it is if you're just going to say, whatever you cheer doesn't matter? It's like the Roman Reigns era of WWE, and a lot of other eras in WWE as well. But it's been one of those things of saying, this is not what we want. This is not what we want, and not to say that you have to give us everything we want right now. We're not spoiled little babies. We should be able to say, okay, we see what you're trying to do and why you're trying to do it, but, try to meet us somewhere halfway, or try to do it, sensibly or whatever. I don't know, how to put it, but, don't string us along with promises of carrots, that are you going to deliver on? It should have, these things should have been delivered on before this. The same thing. And some of these other things should have been, put together quicker and easier and whatever. So, but yeah. Anyway, guys, that is it for this one, I think. So, yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I hope you join me again in another one.